Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing.
Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 473 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. It's so good to be with you. I hope your week's going good so far. Are you starting to notice your thoughts and how they correlate with your moods? I hope so. I know for me, it's an everyday effort. Just like I work every day on my physical health through nutrition and exercise, I've got to do the same with my mental health. And I do that by practicing exercising control over my thoughts. And I have noticed how much more peaceful I feel and how instead of my moods controlling my day, I control my day because I'm controlling my thoughts, which actually control my mood. So I'm getting pretty good at reversing moods that are not serving me by getting to the root of what's causing the mood in the first place, which is usually some sort of thought. So I was sitting the other morning and I was having my coffee on the deck. We were visiting my sister's in-laws. They have a beautiful lake house. And so we were sitting on the deck overlooking this gorgeous morning lake, and the trees were blowing gently in the cool morning breeze. It was heavenly. My little sister Molly was there, and we were both wearing shorts because it was August and it's normally very hot, but we had a cool front. So it was a little chillier than we realized it would be, which was wonderful, but we also realized that we needed blankets. So she runs in to get us blankets, and I'm kind of sitting there left with my thoughts. We had both had our legs up on the kind of the railing, just overlooking, having our coffee and relaxing. And so as soon as she left, my first thought was, thank goodness now I can cover my legs. I don't have to be insecure about my skin looking old next to her perfect, long, skinny, beautiful legs. And then I thought, whoa, where did that come from? I mean, that was kind of out of the blue. Here I am sitting in one of the most beautiful, peaceful places I've been to in a while, and I'm going to think obnoxious thoughts about myself like that, comparing myself to my sister who's 18 years younger. What in the world? I reminded myself how hard I've been working to eat healthy and exercise and stay healthy and vibrant in my own right. And comparing myself to anyone, let alone someone who's almost 20 years younger, is the recipe for disaster. So I had a little talk with me about loving myself and being happy with just being a little better than I was yesterday, which I work on every single day, instead of comparing myself to anyone else, period. If I tell myself that I can only feel good if my skin looks as good as Molly's, I'm never going to feel good about myself again. Now, when she came back and we had our blankets, we were laughing because I was telling her what was going on, and we were laughing because she said, you know, we're from the same parents, but we're so different. And she was saying how I am curvy and that she liked how feminine I looked and that sometimes she doesn't feel as feminine because she's not as curvy. And I said, that's really sweet. But you're long and lean like an Olympic athlete. How does anyone compete with that? And, you know, the short answer to that is you don't. You never try to compete with someone else. It's a hard lesson to learn because we were raised hearing people say things like, I wonder if he's going to be as good as his brother in sports, or she's not as pretty as her sister, or if you would all just study as hard as Johnny, you would have good grades too. So we're pretty programmed to compare from a very young age. It's kind of an autopilot thing, right? But if you could just try to remind yourself every single day that you are a unicorn, and everything you do is going to be different from anyone else, even your closest siblings. It doesn't matter. Even when you're doing the same things, your version of doing it is going to be somewhat different. If you learn that, you'll be infinitely happier. How we frame our so-called failures or weaknesses could be the difference between feeling like a winner and feeling like a not winner. Let's put that nicely, which in my book is just basically means you quit. Like the only way you can't win in this life is you throw in the towel. I was listening to a coach talking about how he was training a young girl for running a race. She's young, 9 years old, and he had only worked with her a few weeks when it was time for her first 100-meter race. Now they get to the race and all the racers line up, and she is racing against 7 other people. And the gun goes off and she runs her little heart out and she hurls herself to the finish line only to end up 8th out of the 8 runners. Now, she ran the race in 18 seconds. And so when she ran to her coach, she was devastated. And she said, I was last. I'm not good. And he looks at her and he says, you weren't last. And she said, yes, I was. And he was like, no, you were 18 seconds. Now, she seemed a little confused. And he said, look, you smashed the 22-second barrier, and I had you down for the fastest you've ever run the 100 meters is 19 seconds. And you beat that by a whole second just now. You know what that means? That means that was your best lifetime performance. In a way, you set your own personal world record. She got really excited about that. And he said, and in some ways, you were first. Now, she was like, what do you mean by that? He said, well, you're the first 9-year-old athlete I've ever coached that ran the 100 meters in 18 seconds. Now, he goes on to say, you see, in a few weeks, she's got another 100 meters race. What does winning mean to her now? I mean, if she runs that race in 17.9 seconds or better, she's going to grab a flag and run around that track because that's what winning means to her. She beat her personal best. Winning is being better today than you were yesterday, every single day. So are you better than you were yesterday? That's the only question any of us should be asking. It doesn't matter what trophy your brother won or how much money your best friend makes or how good your skin looks next to your sister's. None of that matters. As soon as you start focusing on you compared to someone else in anything, do me a favor and stop. Just stop and ask yourself what you've done today to improve where you were yesterday. If you don't like the answer, okay, now we at least know where the work needs to be. There was a story about a small guy that asked his trainer how long it would take for him to be built like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's a little guy, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of us know how big he is. But his trainer kind of sized him up, the little guy, and he said, it's going to take you generations to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, that's a funny story, but you know what? The way I look at that story is that if that small guy trained as hard as Arnold's trained, he's going to be the best version of himself that he can be. And that's all we're meant to be in our life, nothing else, just the best that we can be. That's my challenge to you this week. I want you to ask yourself one question. Am I better today than I was yesterday? That's our only goal. Your best is your best, and only you know if you're giving it. And notice when you're tempted to compare yourself to someone on social media or that guy in the gym or, God forbid, your 18-year younger sister. Stop and remind yourself that you're a unicorn. There's no one just like you, so your accomplishments shouldn't look like anyone else's. They should be your best, not someone else's. And share this with as many people as you can because the rise in social media has brought with it mental health issues, the likes we've never experienced. I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days.
Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.